Today is the 5th of February 2025. The Dutch flag's up, as you can see. Hi Dwayne, here's my friend Randall. He's helped me. The boat is about to be checking out of Grenada today. Start my solo voyage up the islands. Hopefully Milan will join me at some point. Look forward to seeing him. And I'll just show you Prickly Bay very quickly. It's the bay I think it's my favourite bay here. Do you agree, Randall? By far. It's a lovely place. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I agree. Anyway, there's some flats there for the rich, and behind it is you see the white building behind the white boat here. That's the customs place where I'm going. Check it. There's Prickly Bay in the distance. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, I think, and I'm heading out to the point there, Celine's Point, by the airport. See the airport over there in the tower, and then I'm going to bear to starboard about 90 degrees, and I should then be able to get out the spinnaker, the Genoa, and sail then. You can see I've got a reef in this sail. That's not because it demands it at the moment, but I know what this weather's like in this part of the Grenada, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten that up a bit. I do know that you can get sudden winds between islands 25 plus, no matter what the weather forecast says, so that's why that's there. Boom brake I haven't yet put on yet, although I think I'll think about that. Okay. I need to do some course adjustment now. We're doing about 13.5 knots at points, going up against the side of the island, and the speed went up to about nearly 4.5, something like that. I was just about the engine on because I was only doing 2.5. Very variable, fluky winds. You see, this is the problem. At the moment I'm doing 4 knots. I'm quite happy with that. But you see the islands then, that's blocking the wind. There's a St George's Harbour, so there's a valley there. The winds are protected and are doing about 12 to 15 knots, which is okay for the full Genoa. But I do know that you can add 10 knots onto that as soon as we leave the island, but also apart from that you get these gusts too. So I think overall, unless I want to do a lot of hard work, I'll just sit it out. If I need to get the speed up, I'll put the engine on. Well, it looks sunny, and it is sunny, but it's very lumpy out here. Waves are knocking me all over the shop. It doesn't look it looking out here, I know. Take my word for it. Wind's about 20 knots off the front. Again, 6th of February, that boat there, looking about 7 knots, rock sand. Obviously they're going to go out and do a long leg and tap back in. The destination is 7 knots, so probably will drive about 75 miles, I suspect. Anyway, so we're going anywhere really. I suspect they're attacking. It's 25 knots upwind. Quite lumpy, a bit wet. A strong smell of petrol I can smell from somewhere. It's not the engine, it's from the side. Maybe the fuel tanks on the outside, or the petrol tanks in the lazarette, but I can't trace it. And the weather's not really commensurate to go looking for it. I'll have a look at the lazarette. But anyway, it's 11:30 now. I reckon I've got this now for another 5 hours until I get to the lee of the other side, the lee of the island, StLucia, get out of the wind. I'm just leaving the wind of St Vincent at the moment. The lee shore there. It's always 10 to 15 more knots more than it advertises on the old weather forecasts. You see 15, you know it's 25. That's what I always put reefs in. If it wasn't so dark now, I could sail, but I can't see. I'd have to reef the front sail, and I can't see it very well. So at the moment I'm motoring, and it seems to be safe, so I'll leave it like that. It's a little past midnight. There's a cargo vessel right on my nose. The calculation was 12 metres away. I radioed it. It seemed to be a local cargo vessel. He said we go port to port. It's a close shave, whatever it is. You can see there on the chart. I'm the white vessel, he's the green one, and he's several thousand tons, whereas I'm 6. And he's travelling at a real whack downwind. I'm going to see if I can see him outside. I'm hoping we'll pass about a mile apart. He's now moved a bit. Which will be answered his radio, because sometimes they don't. Anyway, I think I'm all right now. At least he answered the radio, so we should go port to port. My speed's very slow, as you can see, 2.4 knots. That's because I'm turned into the wind. I need to bear away. Well, the light came on, but that's a ferry out, the passenger. No, it's a passenger liner out there. Well, it's a few minutes to midnight now in Grenada, Brickley Bay. What I'm looking at now is towards True Blue. It's a hotel the other side of Brickley Bay and the university area. I'm not sure where those beams come from, but they're shot into the sky. It's hard to see if I can see them. And there's the lights of the spot lamps. Over there, which is north of where I am, is the Calabash Hotel. I expect we can see a display of fireworks from them. I move scan slightly to the east. That's Brickley Bay. It's a marina, some flats, small shops and things. So this is the start shortly of 2025, which is my 4th transatlantic. I'm not sure if I'll be on my own, but the boat's slowly getting ready. And if I turn further around, that light you see in the end is a rich guy who owns next to the University Club. There's some boats that have got their lights on, Christmas lights, and if you went out of that bay, continuing south, you'd end up towards Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela. Probably an overnight sail. We'll take you there. Right, the Calabash, start the countdown. That's it. 1 minute into. Still haven't started yet though. I'll turn around now towards the university area. There's banks and there, but I can't see the fireworks. Turn down now towards Brickley Bay, there's shouting from there. No fireworks yet. Celebrations and travel across the Atlantic. University and the True Blues come alive, that's their fireworks. fires still going on there. No fireworks from Prickly Bay. Oh, look at that. Down there, I think their fireworks about it. There's still going over there. There's another place celebrating. Oh, there's a new one. There's another one. There's a sunny. That's the university. That must be near the end. There's somebody over there that set some off. Spotlights. The fireworks are stopped now. Somebody's fired off a distress flag. That's a distress signal from a yachty. There's a good chance to get rid of, good way to get rid of your old out-of-date flares. I've got some, but a lot of the Americans have proper guns, which we can't have in the UK. They're flare guns. That's quite a significant one though. It lasts a lot more than some of them do. Anyway, that's it for me. So 2025, Jan the 1st. My countdown. Hopefully nothing goes wrong with the boat, and I'm on my way. Oh, hang on, it's another one. That was perfect. You see the flare, what it's like when you fly a Mayday flare, distress flare. It's a parachute one, that one. Stays up for a while, doesn't it? I didn't realise it was as long as that. Anyway, let's hope I don't need to use any of mine. Well, these are the famous pitons at StLucia. One on the left, one on the right. It's just about an hour after dawn. There's St Anne's to the right. It's a very popular anchorage, as you can see from the boat, so you can see. And I'm heading up towards the second red buoy on the bow. So I thought I'd I'm going to go to see the green buoy there. I'm going to go to that green, keep that on my port side, and then swing round up the channel with a bit of luck. It's the 18th of February 2025. I've just left Martinique. I've just left for Martinique. I left from StLucia. Behind me, StLucia. I'll just turn the camera around. That's StLucia over there. And I'm heading about 25 miles now to Martinique. The wind's gusting 21 knots really. I've got the foresail and the mainsail reefed. I'm doing comfortably 5.6 knots, which is pretty unusual for this boat really. But anyway, I won't look at gift horse in the mouth. Should arrive around about midday, I think. That depends between now and there what's going to be happening with the wind. Right, it's sunny. It was pouring rain this morning. Couldn't even see the shore. Of course, mainsail come out pretty easy. Just hope everything else does. The anchor came up all right. It's not fouled or anything. And I'm going to take a mooring ball at Le Marine on channel 9 when I get there. Waves heights, I'd say about 2 meters actually, looking at it. Hard to tell. If I showed you the film, you wouldn't be able to see it really. But you have to take my word for it. It's about 2 meters. Okay, this is my ramble about jury equity, and I hope you enjoy it. I refer to 2024 when I should be referring to 2025. Anyway, enjoy. Well, it's February 2024. I'm sitting by the pool in StLucia, waiting till Tuesday, hopefully to get a weather window to sail up to Martinique and then make my way slowly, repairs permitting, to cross the Atlantic for the 4th time and the 3rd time in 3 years. But I'm a lawyer, and I've decided that I've been watching the news, and I've decided to encourage probably some students to look at jury equity, and perhaps even the powers that be to look at jury equity. Let's start with the Magna Carta. That's where jury trials started, and that's where you're judged by your peers. And jury equity is where you've got the right to acquit, or the jury has a right to acquit according to its conscience. And I speculate that could be many things. It could be the prosecution would thought to be unfair, the penalty could be too great, it's not in the public interest. There could be numerous reasons, and they don't have to say what the reason is, which is important. And it can be notwithstanding, despite the judge's direction. So let's start with the beginning. Now, I discovered it started in 1670 with a case called the Bushell case, Bushell case. And this established the right to a jury to apply facts and apply the law according to its conscience, regardless of any judicial reprisal. And in this case, the Recorder of London, as we all know, a very senior judge even now, tried to compel the jury to convict 2 preachers for having unlawful assembly. And if you look at the Old Bailey, there's a plaque which establishes, and here's a quote, "the right of juries to give their verdict according to their convictions," close quote. Not that, my respectfully means in democracy according to their conscience. Now, I want to go a little bit further back in that. There's a couple of cases recently. We'll give an example. One was the case of Clive Ponting, who was charged under the Official Secrets Act for revealing information which would lead one to believe the Parliament had been misled about the Argentinian ship, being the Belgrano, being sunk. The jury acquitted him, notwithstanding the directions in relation to the breach of the Official Secrets Act. Furthermore, then there was the case of George Blake, who was a spy who died, I think, not so long ago in Russia, was awarded all sorts of things by the Russian state, but he escaped with the help of 2 chaps, Pat Pottle and Michael Randall, who they were acquitted, notwithstanding that their defences were ruled out. And I think, if I remember right, their motive was that they thought the sentence of 42 years was excessive. Now, whether that's true or not, I can't say, but certainly I've come across that as an explanation. And then more recently, there's the 6th of the 7th Shell Extinction Rebellion jury acquits in the face of the judge's direction at the Shell headquarters in London. There is another case pending, but I won't describe that because that's actually a retrial of a case which is going to be heard, so I'm going to stay away from that case. All right, so then we come to the case of Warner. Now, Warner is the most recent case, and I think I'm going to give you more detail of that, which is here. This is the case of Her Majesty's Solicitor General versus Trudy Warner for the lawyers amongst us, 2024 EWHC 918 King's Bench case. It was a contempt of court charge. Basically, there was a trial on the 27th of April 23 for defendants who were affiliated allegedly to the Insulate Britain group, and this case belonged in the London Crown Court. Those defendants were charged with public nuisance offences rising out the process. The jury had not been impanelled. No part heard cases were listed for that day in court. It was the first day of the trial. At 8:30 in the morning, Mrs. Warner, a retired social worker, arrives outside the judge's entrance with her friend, and they had a placard which simply said the words, "Jurors, you have an absolute right to acquit a defendant according to your conscience." And that was to be called the placard in the case. Now, Mr. Justice Saini heard the case brought by the Attorney General. I must admit, I have a lot of respect for Mr. Justice Saini, and I think he got this right, although I do have some reservations in relation to how it should be dealt with in the future. Now, it's Honour Judge Reed who presided the original trial, and he said this: the only person that can tell the jury to do something about the way they approach the case is the judge in the case, and that's him. He said that the people that were showing the sign up, that they were wrong about what the law is, and the law is exactly what I told you yesterday. You try the evidence which you hear in the room, and no more. You take the law from him. Anyway, that's all. That was what the trial judge said to the jury. So, what was the general consensus? Well, the general consensus, there is something called jury equity. And then His Honour Judge Saini said, what did the sign do? It simply communicated directly with the jurors to summarise the principle of jury equity. It didn't suggest that they should exercise their right to acquit according to their conscience, just that it was a power they have. Indeed, such a power seemed to be accepted on behalf of the Attorney Solicitor General. Now, he then makes the point, Mr. Justice Saini, that the Crown Court bench book does not have any judicial direction dealing with this, and that needs to be looked at. I'm not going to comment about substantive legislation. We all know what it is, but there is, I think, with respect, an increasing process by which the legislature, Parliament, want to control behaviour and speech which they find not politically expedient, or they have other reasons for legislating against certain thoughts and expressions of thought and behaviour and actions. Now, and I do remember we've always had plenty of law in relation to abuse of process, to public disorder, and so on. So this is all new stuff. This definitions of what certain words mean or what they don't mean. And it starts with the police officer in the street being required to make an assessment of what words mean or don't mean. And we've even got blank placards that are being held because people are frightened about what they should say on a placard. I think that there is now a need for the question of jury equity to be looked at. Now, I think the decision in the court was that a jury should not be told about it. Now, let me just go back to where I found that. Now, it says now, in that case in Warner, it said that it was agreed by all parties that participants in trial cannot be lawfully invited in trial to apply the principle of jury equity or even informed of it, and that's to revolve the tension between the jury equity and the oath that jurors swear. Well, that's daft, is it not? I mean, if you've got the power, the jury got the power, how does it make sense not to tell them about that? I think the words that are used should be carefully crafted, and some thought is required on that. But it's a nonsense to suggest that they shouldn't be told about it. So basically, it would be just pure luck whether the jury decide, well, depending on the defence point of view, a prosecutor may take a different view, whether they decide that they're going to acquit notwithstanding the position. So, if you also look at the Warner case, that meant that Miss Warner was allowed to stand outside with a placard, which objectively just says what their powers are. So, have we not reached a stage now where we can have a bench book direction where objectively, in the appropriate cases, following discussion between all counsel, whether or not they can simply just be a placard type statement that the jury have that power? I think with the way the world is going and the way the internet's working, and some of the prosecutions that have been brought and the way the public react to some of the cases, that I think the public should take should be told of their ultimate sanction against the prosecutions should in appropriate cases. And I think I don't know, I haven't read, I'm not sure what the decision was, why all the lawyers decided that the jury should not be told about their power in future cases. I think I'd be, if I was sitting, of course I'm not a High Court judge and I never was, but I think I'd entertain an application in an appropriate case from defence counsel, simply to say those words which are on the side of the Old Bailey anyway, and then let's see what the Court of Appeal makes out of it. Also, it's part of how our system works, the parliamentary system works. So anyway, there's my thoughts. It's brief, by the pool. It looks like it's going to start raining again. But anyway, jury equity then, and there are a number of other cases, but you'll notice that I've not commented on individual statutes or individual interpretations about words used to create offences. I think there's been plenty of other commentators doing a far better job of that than me. But I do think we are reaching the stage where the right that the jury has, it's not a question they don't have it, they do have it. The question is, how do we tell them about it? And I think we must tell them about it, because there's a plaque on the side of the Old Bailey telling them about it. So let's get on with it and do something right, which in my view is one of the advantages of having a jury. Heaven forbid that judges decided all cases of guilt and innocence. No, I think in a democracy, juries with all their potential flaws, it's still the right thing for a jury to make the ultimate decision, and to be judged by one's peers. And even if in a conviction, one may not agree with it, but at least it's the public, the jury or peer group, that are making that decision, and not somebody in a rarefied atmosphere, and certainly not politicians. And I suppose while I'm on this matter, I think politicians should steer well clear of criticising the judiciary. There are some proper appeal procedures. They've got the ultimate. They can change the law to whatever they want, Parliament. So to keep coming at judges for just doing their job seems to me completely wrong. And it never used to be like this. It's just a new fad. If they don't like the laws being applied by a judge, well, go to Parliament, change it, have the argument, debates, and change it. That's the right way to do it, and not criticise the judiciary trying to do their best. Anyway, that's my moan, and I'm retired, so I'm entitled to moan. I'm 35, and that gives me an extra entitlement to moan. But anyway, there we are. Have a nice day, you all. The cockpit's all clear, and there's covers to keep the sun out from getting too intense. Below there, under there's a lazarette containing more petrol for outboard, and there's a diesel generator down there. There's a water maker as well, which produces about 4 litres an hour, which is just enough for 2 people really. Takes forever. It's got an inverter, so you can charge toothbrushes and what have you. Right, this is Vitakraft in February 2025. There's an Echo Max, active Echo Max. There's some passive radar reflectors and one right at the top of the mast. So there's 2 passive, 1 active. There's solar power, there's wind gen. Here's our diesel cans. There's an extra 20 litres. That's 100 on that side, and 100 on this side, I think. That's 200 litres plus the 169 litres we carry. That's 369 litres. It still may not be enough. We'll have to hope it is. Here's the front of the boat. It's got a 45-pound anchor, when in actual fact it's a 35-foot boat, so it needs 35 pounds. Fully chained, 55 metres chain, and It's got all the solar protection you need. The life raft's in date, and it's got the bimini, and you can see solar protection. There's also a tent that fits inside that, which we can use when we get to cooler climates. This is a bit of craved on the I think in February 2025. You can see that I'm tied to a ball. The boat is 35 foot long, but there's a 45-pound anchor on it. We're going nowhere. It's got electronic oh, it's come undone there. Let's put these back. Don't know, that's come undone.